we have both systems, and then I log on here as well. Log on, go to Intuit keyboard. All right, so we already configured domain controller here. So today, let us do DNS or DHCP. Any of them. Okay, so before we configure DNS on the secondary domain controller, let us first ensure that it's available and configured on the primary domain controller. Because all we're trying to do is replicate what we have on the primary domain controller. So if we don't have it there, then what are we going to replicate? So that's DNS, it's already loaded, but is it configured? Let's go find out if it's configured. Tools, DNS. All right. On this system, and then we'll have forward lookup zones and then reverse lookup zone. But what's important to us here is forward lookup zone for the domain ttcmobile.com. All right. So let's look through. What do we have here? Right click. That is, what do we have? Properties. So we go to properties. And then we see general is running. All right, it's running Active Directory integrated. So what you want to do here is change and uncheck this box. This box says the Active Directory, the DNS services of this domain is tied, is integrated to the domain controller. So you check this box to say no, release it, don't monopolize it, don't integrate it, release it. And after you release it, you can remain the primary zone. In other words, the primary server for this service, but don't tie it to yourself. So you see, do you no longer want this zone to be Active Directory integrated? You say yes. All right, that's fine. You apply. What else do you want to check here? No, name servers. Your name servers. Your name servers on this network, you know, they already see themselves. Yes. Both of the domain controllers are name servers, or DNS servers specifically. DNS server means name server. And then transfer zone. All right, let me hold on, I'll come back to that one. So first of all, you disintegrate that, and then we say, okay. Now, let's go to the secondary one. DNS already installed. What about configuration? Check if it's configured. Why do we have this sign? Let me quickly check this. Complete DHCP configuration. A quick one, let me quickly complete that. Next, commit. Yes. All right, so that's fine. All right, go back to DNS. We say tools, DNS for this system. And then our concern is reverse lookup zone for this domain, for the domain TTC Mobile, ttcmobile.com. All right, so we right click and then we look around. Right now I'm pretending that I don't know what I'm looking for. That's why we're looking around, because it's not all the time that you have to remember the exact thing you want or you are trying to do. All right, so I look around. What I'm looking for is not here. Okay, let's check properties. Okay, and then what did I do there the first time? I said, first of all, I said Active Directory integrated. Can you see that?
Yes, sir.
So I say change, and I say don't tie it to yourself, release it. All name servers should have access. Don't monopolize it. I say, okay, are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. All right. Okay. And then after I do that, you know, I already made the first one the primary zone. can read the details to know what that means, but it basically means it's a primary name server. So I now make this one the secondary zone server, and I say okay. So this one is, in case you forgot this, you can still see it, right? Let's quickly look at this properties. So this one is type primary, and this one is type secondary. All right, so that's the first stage.
Okay.
All right. So the second stage is to come here. Let's still look around and say, if this is secondary, then what is the primary? What is the master server from which this secondary will be replicating? All right, so you click here. All right, you can enter the server fully qualified domain name, which is, what's the fully qualified domain name for the master? That will be dc1.ttcmobile.com, or you enter the IP address. So let's edit. Which one do we want to enter? I'm more comfortable with IP address.
IP address.
Okay. So IP address for the primary DNS server. Coincidentally, that's also our primary domain controller, but let's refer specifically to the service that we are configuring. So that will be 192.192. Okay. Do you remember the IP address, or do you want us to quickly check?
What's it? Remember.
All right. 254.
Dot 100.
Dot 100. All right. All right. So you see that is the IP address. You click your tab, and then the green button comes up, which means checked. It's okay. We'll try to confirm that, and it's good. All right. So you say okay here. So we have configured it as secondary, and we have said the primary is this. All right. So we apply. The data on the secondary zone failed to set. The zone does not exist. I thought you gave me a green card. It will exist. Don't worry about it. Apply. Exist. Look at it now. DC1. If it didn't exist, then how did you get that? It's just taking time to synchronize. Don't worry about it. All right.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Let's just look around because there's something else we need to do. 192.254.100. That's fine. Secondary. All right. So one more thing, but before we do one more thing, we should do this. This one must go through first. It's okay. It's attempting to resolve. Let's just confirm the IP address just in case. Local server. What's the IP address? 192.254.100. So that's right. Okay, so maybe there's something we need to do first. Let's just look around. On this part, that's good. What about here? Let's come here back to DNS. And then we say, no, tools. DNS under tools. Then we'll go back to that same place. Forward-looking zones for this domain. And then what do we do here? Right-click and take properties. All right, so let's do one more thing here. Zone file name, ttcmobile.com.dns. We change to primary. Let's just take a look. It's primary, and okay, that's fine. Running. Okay, let's do one more thing here. We'll configure that. That's right. We are not altering anything here. Let's go to transfer zones and say allow transfer. Allow transfer. And then we say not to any server, but only to the following servers. We edit. What we are entering here is we are saying you should replicate. You should transfer the content of DNS, the DNS services to another computer. In other words, replicate this master to a secondary server. What's the name of that server? Enter the IP address here, or the name. Better to enter IP address. And the IP address is 192.254. Dot
100.
100 dot what?
Dot 101.
101. All right. So this time is showing that mark, but it should be good. Just time to resolve. Then you take that, apply, DC2, okay. All right, let's look around again. We configured two things there. Second one was, let's go back and just make sure it's good. I mean, because we have plenty of time, then we shouldn't. All right, so this is good. Attempting to resolve. Are we having a network problem? We have to look at our network because allow zone transfer, so it's able to transfer. All right. General good. Dynamic updates. Let's take this. What does that mean? Non-secure and secure. It allows both non-secure and secure. Allowing non-secure dynamic updates is a significant security vulnerability. Yes, we understand, but let's just do it. Practice that. Just in case this is unsecure and it's not allowing it. All right, so let me look around. Everything looks good. So why are we having issues? On that side, everything is good. All right, let's come back here. Let's try one more time. Still not resolving. Okay, no problem. Let's try the transfer zone thing. Allow zone transfer, sends a copy. No, we're not sending from here, so we don't need to do transfer zone. We're only sending from the other side. So we don't need to do anything there. The requested security information. All right, so all we need to do there is just enter this IP address. And it's validated. Okay. So when this happens and you are not making progress, you normally want to restart or do something rather than just sit and watch. So what do we do? Before we restart, let's look around. So we escape and then go to this machine. This troubleshooting now because we don't know why that is not able to connect. So let's look around to find anything specific. All right, so 101, this is do you notice anything? Let's quickly do our test to see that the ADDS service is still working. So let's close this. We'll load, it's just testing to see if these two computers are still on the level of servers. Another thing we can do is we can manage server just by way of troubleshooting. And then we say add servers, we say find servers. And then we see that you can see the two servers, both servers are there. You can actually take both of them, send them there and say, okay. So this way you can now manage DC2 from DC1. We can manage remotely. So I don't have to come to DC1, wherever it's physically located, if it was an enterprise network, to manage. I can double click here and then I'll have access to, and then it says performs. It's online, basically. It means that it's seeing it. So the other long method I was trying to go to use to find out if they are seeing each other, there is no need. This system, DC1, is seeing DC2. So this is one way to manage system servers remotely. Sit on one server and manage all your 7 servers. You don't have to physically move to all the 7 servers on down. So if it's seeing it, then then we'll configure the complete DHCP configuration. We already did that. Right. So it's doing post deployment configuration. So we already did it. That's why it's post. Okay, so why is it not working? Let's try one more time. If it still doesn't work, then we'll restart. Hopefully it resolves itself. All right, so DNS tools, DNS forward lookup. Unless another possibility, a reason why. Okay, let me watch out. A possible reason would be, oh, I know. There's an issue here. So these are DNS, these are forward lookup. So where's our TTC mobile domain? Where is it here? That's the problem. Look at this. Let's go back here. Tools, DNS, forward lookup. Look at these 2 domains. This for Windows. We have no business with that one. Do you see this one? TTC
Yes,
mobile.
sir.
Yeah, that one. That's our concern. That's the one we should be working on. So we come here, and then that one is not here. So we did our configuration on the wrong domain. That's why we had that issue. That's why we're having that issue. All right, good. So we must be on the right domain. So where's our domain? How do we make our domain show here? All right, so that's the next work to do. Minimize this. All right, so how do we make our domain show? Where's the place again? Where's the place again? Let's close this. All right, so DNS DC2 forward lookup zones. Let's right click there. New zone. This is the secondary domain controller. Secondary server. We don't have to create a zone here. We are just replicating from the old one. All right. Configure a DNS server. All right. So let us configure. Configure a DNS server. Let's look around for new zones. Okay. Let's just see what's here. Let's see what's here. Create a forward lookup zone. Create a forward. My eyes. Select configuration of action. Create a forward lookup zone recommended for small networks. Create forward and reverse lookup zone. No, we're creating forward. Configure routing. Let's see what's there. This server maintains the zone. An ISP maintains the zone, and a read-only secondary copy resides on this server. Okay. Primary server location. What about this? No, this server does not maintain the zone. So let's try secondary. The zone names, you know what I'm going to do? I can't pretend that I know what to do here. Let me look at the manual and then the note, which I'm going to copy and send to you now. So that when you are stuck like that, you just refer to your note. All right, so let me load the note. Where's my note for? Let me share. Where are we? Secondary domain control. Okay. All right, so where's my note? Windows Server lecture notes. For DNS, where's my DNS? Okay, so I found my DNS. Load your disk, install that, we've done all that, create backup. The primary configure tools. All right. Install DNS service. Rule DNS. Choose right click. New zone. Second. New zone. I'm reading aloud. Don't worry. I'm back in. Install DNS services. Yeah, well, did we install DNS? All right. Tools, DNS, right-click server, new zone, secondary zone. Enter zone name. Okay. I found something here. Let me come back and implement that. So it says tools, DNS, right-click server, and then take new zone and take secondary server. All right. So where is the secondary server here? Do you remember us installing DNS here? Okay, we already installed DNS as part of the domain controller. Okay. All right. So new zone. We come here. We say configure DNS. Tools, DNS, right click, new zone. DNS, right click.
So we can't see what you're doing.
Okay. 1 second. Share the screen. Okay. Can you see now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So tools, DNS. So this is what I read there. Let me close this. So this so what it says is tools, DNS,
Forward lookup zone.
right click this and create a new zone. New zone. Look at the new zone. And here we see secondary. Okay, this is what we need. Secondary. And then next. Okay, let me repeat that so that I see. So you know the problem we're trying to solve, right? Because TTC domain is not showing here, it means that we missed something. Because we cannot configure the DNS on a different domain and expect it to work on TTC mobile domain. What we should have done is go to DNS and say new zone. And then when we say next, this time we don't leave it as primary. We say this is the secondary zone because we already have the primary in DC1. That's just it. And then you say next. Forward lookup zone, of course. Next. Now read this. What is the name of the new zone? This new zone you want to create. Of course, we want to give it a name that coincides with the original name so that we don't have two different names. So the name of the new zone will still be ttcmobile.com. Or that's the name of the zone on the primary domain, on the primary DNS server.
You have triple T there.
Okay, let me see. Thank you for that observation. I would have landed us. So do you see it now? ttcmobile.com, right?
Yes, sir.
Correct. All right. So again, what's the IP address? What IP address? IP address of the master. Of the primary. So what's that?
192.254
100.100. All right. All right. You press tab because the next is not active. So you press tab. Tab will accept it as green, and then you say next, and then you say finish. All right. Good. Good. So if we refresh, that click refresh, or you just play around. By the time you come back to your forward lookup zone, you will now find TTC mobile there. That's what was missing.
Okay.
So whatever you are doing, I will now be on TTC mobile. What we did here was not valid. So whatever we did there, we'll have to do it. We should have done it on TTC mobile. So right click TTC mobile, we go to properties, and then we say, in fact, we'll have to undo what we did here. Okay, let's try this. So go to properties. Remember what we did here? So what we did here earlier on was to go there and say remove, but during the configuration, it's already done. So it's already secondary. So we don't have to do it. I mean, it's already done for us here. We actually did it during configuration, but the first time we came here to say change from primary to secondary, now it's showing secondary. And then it says that the master is DC1, right? So no work to do here.
Yes.
No work to do. All right. What about the transfer zone? There is nothing to do because we are not transferring from here to somewhere else. No. Instead, we are transferring from somewhere here to this place. So there is nothing to do. So everything looks good here. If everything looks good, does it mean that the server, the DNS services are now being replicated? Is that what it means? Let us find out. Let us find out if it's not being replicated. So let's come to DNS service and do something here. What can we do? Let's close there. Let's view tools, DNS service for which domain? For TTC. Let's do something here. What can we do? Let us DNS. DNS. It's not DHCP, so we cannot assign IP address. What can we do here? Let's see. Let us assign a new host. Let's see. Let's just do something. Do you know the work of DNS server? Do you remember the function, the role that DNS services play? Hello?
Yeah, I will try.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes. Somebody tell me, what does DNS server do?
Okay. Resolves IP address to domain name.
Okay. Exactly.
It translates the IP, the name of the computer to an IP name. That like a computer communication.
It just translates human intelligence domain name to IP address.
Yeah, that's what it does. It resolves domain name to IP address. What the other guy said is also true, but that's reverse lookup. The primary thing, the real thing is what is more true is that it resolves domain name to IP address. All right. So that's what we're trying to do here. But where did they get the domain name and the IP address from? From the
TTC.
From the, what's it called? From host. Now, from this new host, the special name is called, I've forgotten. But configuring a new host means that we are telling the DNS server that anytime somebody enters ttcmobile.com, that it should always resolve it to this IP address. That's just what we're saying. And then because we are doing that in IP version 4, we call it a host. If we were doing it under IP version 6, we'll call it AAA, or in this case, 4A, a host. So if somebody asks you under DNS, can you configure a host? Yes, it's simple. Just come here and say, what is the name that you want to resolve? The name I want to resolve, for example, is, because this is TTC, so it already knows TTC. You are not telling it what it knows. Let us say, tree.com. So we're now saying anytime somebody types tree.com, always resolve it to this IP address, which is 192.254.100.whatnot.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
It's not .com you wrote there.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I'll go back there. Okay, I'll go back there. What do you want to call this? The server that runs that domain?
That's 100.
Dot what?
100.
100.
Okay, that means you are not following. You are not following. It has to be a unique server because .100 is already running ttcmobileworld.com.
Okay.
So this is a different server that is running for this one.
Server, yes. Yeah.
So let's say .150, for example.
150.
So what are we doing here? We are telling the server that anytime somebody types this
free.com.
Yes, this domain name, it should always resolve it to this IP address. This is where it gets it from. It didn't get it from magically. And then if you click this, then you also say, this is where what the first guy defined becomes true. You're also saying that if the person is now looking for a domain name and he types this IP address, also help us resolve it back to that website, to the domain name. All right, so you add it. Warning. Okay, never mind about the warning. Done. So right now, under our A listing, we now see, we should now see that this is resolvable. This one is resolvable. What about the one we just configured? It's not showing it yet. Not showing yet. What should show? Refresh. All right, it should show. Well, while that one is either not showing or refreshing, what I'm trying to do is, I know that this thing is working now. How I know is, if I look at, I did not put all these things here. I did not put them there. Just because during the configuration, we said this is the secondary that it should resolve from the primary. That is why everything on the primary is automatically reflected on the secondary side. But what I'm trying to do is go a step further to see what can I do here now that will reflect here automatically. Let me see if I can find an example so that you now know that, oh, it's actually working because we've completed the work. We just want to test. Testing is not necessary because I already know, but you don't know because you are just wondering. All right, let me just look around and see what I can do here to reflect here instantly. In the last class, somebody gave me an example and we just did it and it worked. But in this class, you are just looking at me and I'm not giving you examples, but it's okay. All right, so share. I'm trying to share so that I can take time off. Where's my share? Let me minimize this so I can see. Oh, my share is here. Secondary domain controller. All right, so now you're not seeing me. Let me now look around for the test. What can I do? Go back to primary domain controller. Edit IP address. Okay. Enter IP address of backup. We already did that. Go back to server. Go back to server address. Finally, remember to add a new. I don't have the example written here. Okay, so let me come back to class. Let me share. Let me do this. So we're back here. Can you see me now?
Yes, sir.
You can see both systems.
Yes, we can.
Just look around. Hopefully I find something. So if I do this, let me refresh one more. That one is still not showing, don't worry. That's because it's outside of ttcmobile.com. It's a different domain. host record. That's called host record. That's the name I was trying to remember. The host record. The A records will be host record under version 4, and A record will be host version under version 6. Okay. All right. So let us load the client. Let's try that. Do you have a client for this system? Let us load the client for this network. Client 1. Is he tied to this network? Let's load it. So this is my client 1 loading.
Yes, we can.
Okay. All right, we are just testing, just looking for a way to test. We are done with the actual configuration. I know 1 or 2 persons will understand that we are done, but let me log in here. As okay, so let me join this computer to domain. I should have right-clicked there. So change settings, change domain. Oh, this is the wrong this is my host. That's the wrong system. I should be talking about this one because, sorry about that. Okay. So you can still see it. I should be clicking this, not this. Look at where I clicked. That's the wrong one. Yes. I should click here. This.
Yeah.
PC. Right click. Properties. Change settings. Change. The name is client 1 and it belongs to this domain. No, that's a different domain. Let's see if we can give it a different domain. What's the name of the domain we're working on? TTC Mobile. Mobile.com. All right. Let's see if it can disengage from the old one and automatically connect to the new one. Because it was a member of a different domain. Active Directory Controller for TTC could not be contacted. All right, so yes, this is the kind of problem we talked about yesterday. Computer name, domain changes, because the name is already used somewhere, somehow. So an Active Directory Controller for this domain, TTC Mobile World, could not be contacted. So this is what I was trying to explain. That even though it gives this reason, the actual reason is because this name is already there somewhere or something. But the way to resolve this issue, at least one way to resolve this issue, is to say, okay, because there's nothing you can do here, you cannot join it. Is to say, okay, I get that. Since we cannot do this, and we are sure this name is correct, can you see the name? The name is correct, right? TTC Mobile.
Yes, it is. Yes.
All right. So since the name is correct, then our issue must be with the client. So let's change the name of this computer from, we can't do both at the same time. So let it remain as work group. Okay. There are 2 ways. There's another way. No, it's not that there are 2 ways. There are 2 possible things. You know, we disengage it from one
domain.
one domain, and without even the computer is not even aware that it's no longer a member of the former domain. So we have to make it realize, first of all, you are no longer there before we now try to join it to a different one. So the way to do it is not just to change the name. It will not work. You remove it from the domain. How do you remove a computer from the domain? Just make it a member of one group. That's it. Okay, so let me go back there now. Settings, change. I want to make you a member of a different domain. I see that you're already a member of this domain. What I should do is click work group, give it a name. It's not important. Any name can do. And say okay. After you leave the domain, you would need to know the password of the local administrator account. Of course, I know the password. All right, so okay. Local administrator, right? Because it's not the domain and it's the local administrator. My local machine. So no, my local machine I'm hacking, and then my password is right. If I don't know this, I'll not be able to proceed.
Excuse me, sir. Sorry to break you short, sir. I think you've not yet connected to a network on this client system.
We'll find out. If we have not, it will tell us.
All right.
We're trying to join to domain. So before it allows us to join to the domain, it will tell us whether there's a network on. But so far, do you understand this?
Clearly, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. So before now, you did not understand how do you remove a computer from a domain. Now you understand that you just click work group. I mean that to remove a computer from a domain, you make the computer a member of a work group. The work group does not already exist. You create it just by giving it a name. All right. And then by the time you are entering the username and password thereafter, you are no longer entering the username and password of the domain because the domain does not exist for that computer anymore. So you are entering the administrator of the local computer. You understand that so far? Then we are making a lot of progress. You may not know it, but on the field, these skills will come handy. Because many times you would need to remove computer as a member of a domain, resolve the issue that you have, and then try to, before you now come back to join it again as member of the domain, you disintegrate, you remove it from the domain. All right, so we are here now. Input, keyboard. Okay. All right, so this is the local machine. No, this is not as a client.
Okay.
That's why it's doing okay. All right, so now that we've separated that former union, you can now join this system with a new spouse. So what do we do? How do we do that? How do we do that? How many are we here? Anne, Hafiz, Madon, those are the three people on video. So how do we do that? What do we want to do now?
We go back to the settings.
Moya. Okay. What settings?
Our computer settings, where we change
we remove
this
okay,
PC.
computer, this
all
PC,
right. Okay.
right click.
All right, so instead of looking for this PC, let me just type it. Right click. All right.
Properties.
All right.
Change settings.
All right, so change settings, right?
Yes, sir.
And then
change and
all right. So
rename this computer.
Rename this computer. Fine. Hey, same mistake.
Your host.
This is my host again. You know why it keeps deceiving me? Because are you seeing my screen
button.
Yeah, exactly. The scroll button, yeah. So this PC. So when you people interact like this, it brings me to life. You see that my mood has changed now because I'm feeling that I'm talking to a human being. And just leave me to myself. All right, so change
settings, yes.
Change client, this time to domain. So we know the name of our domain, right?
TTCmobile.
ttcmobile.com.
Okay. Okay. If you know how to pray, this is the time to go and pray now. All right, so that problem, that original problem is still there. That original problem. But what we did now is very valid. It does not invalidate it. It is just a different problem.
Okay.
Yes, what we did was really, really valid. There's no way you could have done that without separating from them. All right, to solve this problem now, and it's only good that we're encountering these problems because these are the field problems. So what did I say we should do? That it's possible that the domain already has this name client. That's a possibility. So if that's the case, then we'll change the name from client to, you have a good name for it?
Client 2.
Okay, client 2. All right.
Okay.
TTC mobile 1. All right, so it's changing the name. That shouldn't be a problem. What's the same problem? An active directory controller or the domain TTC mobile could not be contacted. Oh, I'm still on the domain. No, I shouldn't be on the domain to do that. I should go back to my file. Let me leave here. Let me do it again. So to change the name, I cannot be on the domain and try to change the name at the same time. So I change the name independently, just changing the name. So from client, I call it client 2, right? It's a different name. Then I say, okay. I had a domain name there, that's why it gave that. All right, so restart the computer. So the computer is restarting as a new person, as a new name. Hopefully the domain recognizes it now as a different computer from whatever it was confusing it with. And then it's not able to accept it as a member of the domain. Is this in the screen?
Yes, sir.
All right, so hacking this local computer. So I'll be so as part of the final exam, I'm going to ask you, give 7 different, no, that will not be the final exam. But if I had the chance, I'll ask you, give 7 different issues that could come up when you are trying to join computer to domain. 7 different issues that you have experienced. You can give that at interview, because you are going to say at interview, I can create domain and join company. There will definitely be questions about what challenges did you face. If you did not face challenge and you feel you did well at the interview, the next person is going to come and say, I faced these challenges and I resolved them. He will get the job. You are good. It's not that like you are not good, but you did not face challenge. It's too smooth. Because in their company, they face challenges. So they are looking for people who have faced challenges and were able to resolve the challenges. So they don't want smooth people who never had problem in life. All right, so I'm clicking the right place this time, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So if you're able to list those 5 challenges you can face and how you resolve them, or 7 challenges, it will really help you on the field. And then tell them how you spent 3 nights trying to solve one problem. They'll be impressed. They'll be more impressed than, I don't have any problem, and everything is so smooth, I can do everything. All right. Okay, so finally we're here. So let's see if it works now. By what I know, by everything that I know, it should work. If it does not work, that means that I have to go and start troubleshooting will not be easy because we'll have to find something new. But from what I know, I've already exhausted everything. This should work. All right, so ttcmobile.com. All right. TTC Mobile. So same problem. This is
So I beg to say, I think we have not statically gotten an IP address on the network.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
That's what I meant earlier when I said the network, because you can see the icon down there still shows no internet, no connection. Basically, it doesn't have to be an internet connection.
Okay, that's fine. Beautiful, beautiful. So it's all part of the troubleshooting. So everyone should understand what he's saying. All right, so let's get to what he means. So what he's saying is this domain, this
client.
The old, the old name was client. The client belonged to an old domain, right?
Yes.
So therefore, it will carry the IP address that is a family member of the old domain. Now we just we change the name without we change the name, the label, without disengaging it from the old domain and making it member of the new domain. I mean, IP-wise. So let us check the IP address and see if it's in the family of the new domain we're trying to connect it to. So that's what he's saying. All right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir.
All right. So if you understand that, then of course there are many ways to do that, but I always prefer to let's look at the network interface card. No, where did we?
Let's go to the.
No, I don't want to go there. I don't want to go to. Let's do it the normal way. I mean, the hard way. All right. Whatever you are looking for, you don't know where it is, where it's saved. And just. All right. This is actually what we're looking for, the Ethernet card. All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So right click, properties. All right. IP version 4 properties. This is where we're coming. So is this a valid IP address for the network that we're trying to connect it to?
No, sir.
Correct.
No.
Correct. So now you know where you're
The second octet is 160 instead of 254.
Okay, so let us change it to the correct IP address. Let's make it a valid IP address for this new network. Everything is making sense. I like this. So 254 dot what?
.100.
Okay, that's fine. So that's the network ID. So what IP address do you want to give to this host now? Anyone? 102 or 1. Let's do something above 100 since the server is already
105.
105?
Yeah.
All right, so that's it.
Okay.
And for this new domain, the king through whom you get all things is 254.100.100. And even for DNS service, it's 192.254.100.100. What about if that DNS server fails? What happens? You should go to the secondary DNS server. That's why you are setting up the secondary DNS server. Is that not the whole reason you are doing?
Exactly.
So in this case, you now enter 192.254.100. What's the IP address of the secondary server?
101.
101. Good. So for the first time, we are entering alternate server. Yes, because we do have it now. All right. Yes, secondary. Alternate secondary is the same thing. Okay. Alternative. All right. Thank you for that observation. But still, as even if you didn't tell us that, in your troubleshooting, you guys should have realized that This is the first thing I should have done. I didn't do it because sometimes it just escapes your mind. All right. So any other thing you want us to quickly check just to make sure? I don't want Windows to do anything for us. I want us to do everything by ourselves so that you know how to do it. So I'm going to say no. All right. Looks good. Looks good. Anything else? We did something yesterday that at this advanced level, I said, well, we may not ping. We could just look at
the status.
Yes, the status. You want to confirm that? Oh, it's sending and it's receiving. If there was no network, we should have checked this before we check the IP address. But like that other man observed, it really was not working. It was either only receiving or something, or it was not much. But this is good. It's sending and receiving. So you may take this as it's pinging. So at this stage, you may leave the administrator may leave you now and say, go ahead and do what you want to do. And you're wondering, how did you know? You have not pinged. Because he already, in fact, you will see from the sign. Where's the sign here? Okay. Right there. We are careful not to click the. Okay, we already know that that's our host. If we want to be able to browse at the same time, that's not the important thing. All right, so we're done with this. This looks good. So yeah, looks like you guys are having internet connection from. All right, so we're good, right? Let's go and try one more time to join to domain. Is there anything you want us to check before we finally join to go there and not waste time going there?
So do you think would have any issue like firewalls?
Firewall would be issues only when we are pinging. In fact, that's the reason I don't want to ping, because we are getting advanced now, so we don't really need to be off in firewall. It practicals in operations. You don't turn down your firewall. So for all purposes, no. Since we are not doing pinging, let's leave the firewall on. All right, so let's try one more time. Change. Client 2, and then the name of the domain.
etc
mobile.
.com.
All right. Well, so
administrator.
Not for the domain, because we are not part of the domain yet, for the local system.
Okay.
Remember? So my local system is acting. In your case, you would have I don't know what you entered when you were installing, but most times it will be coincidentally administrator, the assumed name, but mine is acting. So, and then this one will be my local password. No. Was I right there? I wasn't right.
You're wrong, sir. I think it's the administrator of the domain.
I'm contradicting what we already know. Sorry about that. We are joining the domain, so a local not join domain. Add meaning. You are right, Rio. Sorry about that. Administrator, then what? Nobody knows that one.
Password one.
Well, so welcome to the domain. So that went through. So we can now, if it happens, they'll just shout, yeah, something, and pop champagne or do something. Or whatever gives you so much stress once you resolve it.
So pop champagne over
released. All right, so that's that. You see, we digressed and then we learned so much in that digression. But what I really wanted to achieve by that digression, was to see if this new client now is recognized on the DNS table. You didn't get that. Okay, so our client is loading now as part of the domain, right? Let's go to our original work, our DNS table. So we're trying to configure DNS for secondary. Where's our primary? We have 3 systems loaded. This one, I'll have to be a user on the client, but let me see if I can log in as what? Okay, like I showed Anne yesterday, other user. How do I sign in? As a client on the domain. Well, I don't have an account yet, so I cannot sign it as a local user. So let me use the domain. Type this to log in with this PC, and then type domain name / domain username. So I'm going to click domain name TTC mobile without the com / what?
Okay.
I don't have an administrator.
Oh, okay.
So let me log in here as an administrator, and then that would be all right. Awesome. All right, so that's how to log in from. All right, so that one is doing well. It's the first time, so it would prepare the profile and all. So while that one is loading, let me minimize this and go and see the effect that it has on the DNS. Control delete. Then refresh. You see, look at it here. That's what I expected. So the DNS has automatically recognized that there is a new system, and it has captured the IP address. Do you see it now? That's what I expected. Yes. All right. Now, the final test. This change that has happened on the DNS here, the DNS, let me call it table here. Okay. It should automatically reflect on the replication. This should be replicated automatically on the other side. So let us go to the other side now and see if it's replicated. So we log in here, and then we say Control delete. And then we'll enter. So this is the test we'll be talking about. What a test. If you wait, just relax now. Let's talk first before we refresh. Because this refresh now, if it doesn't work, that means troubleshooting will be hard. So it should work. So let's go ahead and press refresh. Where are you refreshing from? Of course, your domain. Refresh here. It should work. It should work. It should work. If it doesn't work, there's a problem. It should work. All right, let's give it some time to replicate. So, yeah. Let's try again after some time. In fact, let me start it from scratch. DNS. Forward looking. This. It should work. Reverse. Trust. DC1. No, I'm not looking for anything. I'm just playing around. I'm just waiting for this to resolve to this. Maybe there's a time lag, yeah. Just looking around. So forward looking for this. Okay, refresh again. Refresh. Client one. Client one should show here. Is there something we should click? Let's see. Let's see. Let's look around. Let's look around. Maybe there's something we should click to Guide that action. All right, so let's click here. Update server data file. Update from where? Maybe we should be doing that from the client, from the secondary.
From the secondary.
View, delete, refresh. There's no problem with refreshing. Let's look around. Maybe one is good. Anything to do here? Transfer. That's the IP address. Notify. What's notify? To specify secondary server to be notified zone. To specify secondary servers to be notified of zone updates, click notify. That is it. To specify secondary servers. To specify secondary servers to be notified of zone updates, notify this server. What's the name of that server? 192.16. Huh? The 254. 254 dot what?
That's
100. Dot 101.
That's 101.
All right. All right. So result validating. That shouldn't take that long. So apply. Okay. At least we found something there. So anytime there's a change here, notify that server. Let's look around again. Okay, before we look around again, let's refresh this and see that one. Refresh. Look at it, it worked.
Wow.
Yes, that wow shows that you're appreciating what I'm doing. Thank you, I need more of that. So it worked. All I've just done nice. We're doing it for a client. You will not charge less than $500.
Wow.
Yes.
That's a big
Why did they bring you out of their house if they could do it? Anyway, you are not going to tell them, you are not teaching them, they will not know what you do. All they know is that you have resolved the issue. You won't do this for less than $500. So wow is the answer. We've done it. We've done it.
Yeah. Can you repeat that, sir?
You have the video.
Go back to the video.
Go back to the video, practice it. So what we just did was that notify place. Everything was working, but we just said always notify this system, and then we just put. All right, Favor Okonta.
Can you hear you, sir?
Yeah, I see your smiling photo, but I don't see you. All right, so that's how to. We've answered the second question of the. How much time do we have? In the project, we have done two major works. We have done ADDS replication. We have done DNS now. Any question on those two? Any question? How many are we here?
16.
16, right? Sanusi, where is Sanusi? What are the people that bring life to class? They are not here, so everywhere is gone.
Yes, sir. I'm here, sir. I actually joined late. Yes, sir. Michael, I had breakdown.
All right. Where's Ilona Adams? All right. So do you understand this so far? So if somebody wakes you up now and say, please, want to replicate our DNS server so that if anything happens, we'll still have a secondary DNS server. If our primary DNS server goes down, we'll have a secondary DNS server to continue. Can you do that? And then one more thing I want to show you is this. You can come here. Then we can come here. What is it? We can enter, though this will not be reflected. We can enter another A record.
How do you mean, sir?
Do you know what A record is?
That's the one for IP4.
IPv4.
What does it do?
Before. Sir?
What does it do? What does A record do? What's an A record? All right, it's question time now. I think we've done enough for today. Let me just ask you questions to know that you are following. We've done something major today. So I'm happy with that. What's A record?
A record is actually also known as address record. It determines, just like he said earlier, it determines the domain name resolves the domain name to an IP address.
Okay, it resolves domain name to IP address. Resolves, okay. So do you know how to enter A record for, we're going to do these things more for now, do you know how to enter A record for DNS A record for Windows?
Yes, sir.
You do?
We do.
All right, so who does not know how to do that? So as part of your A record, you could say, okay. So I think you should at least know that that thing exists. Now, this is our DNS server, right? I can do A record here. Talk about CNAME. F-trend is beyond this course. We'll do with that later. A record. Now, it's not all the time. It's not compulsory that you use your. In fact, this not even the place. The place. What I'm trying to show you, this might not be the best place to show you. Okay, pardon me. Let me go to. Let me leave here. Let me go to, for the primary domain controller, let me go to my IP4. IP4. How do I go to IP4 to configure my IP4? No network, right?
Yes.
So my network interface card, so I'll look for my network.
Network status.
Oh, is that where's that?
Back.
Go back one step, sir.
All right, thank you.
Network.
All right, so my Ethernet card. Is this? I hope I'm not doing it for my Disney again. This for my change adapter. Yeah, I'm on the wrong one again.
Yeah, on the primary domain controller.
I want to do it on the primary domain controller. Windows cannot access the specified device or file. You may not have the appropriate permissions. What's going on? Okay, let me close this so that I'm sure where I am. So this is the secondary, this is the primary. Okay, we're done with this. I just shut this. Let's close this. So many things open. Okay, let me start again. I load my server. So I'm so used to getting it from here. It is the easiest way to get it. Why is it saying? Okay. Let's try here. Oh. All right, so I don't know what I'm doing wrong. My mind is not fully here. But essentially, what I want to show you is that you could have an alternate DNS server that is not your server. There are DNS services available, open source DNS services available online. So you don't really have to create a DNS server to be able to resolve IP addresses, especially when those IP addresses are not within your own network. So you could use, for example, a common one like 8.8.8.8. I just feel like you should be aware of this IP address. This is Google DNS server, saying that if anybody enters a domain name that you are not able to resolve to an IP address, because the A record is not on this my DNS server, then go connect with this one through the internet, and this server will help you resolve to the appropriate IP address and connect you to that website. So even though you have a secondary DNS server in practice, you don't really have to enter it here. You can enter that if you want, or you can enter any other DNS server that will play the role of resolving IP domain names if anything happens to your primary DNS server. And this one is showing 127.0.0.1 here, and not the actual IP address. What's the actual IP address of our DNS server? The same IP address as the primary domain controller, right? So this is another way of saying I am the DNS server. Anytime I want to resolve domain name to IP addresses, I check myself. The DNS server is within me. So you say 127, in fact, you didn't enter it, it came up automatically. 127.0.0.1. This means that I check myself for the service that I'm looking for. What is that service? DNS service, right? And if I don't get it within myself, then I go online. In this case, to use this one, I have to, you see how these things are working together. To do this one, to be able to use this one, I have to enable my NAT so that I can first of all connect with this, and then this will now help me connect to the IP address that I was not able to resolve using the first. Yeah, that's the message I wanted to pass. Any question? All right, so we'll spend the remaining 30 minutes or so answering questions so that I can assess what you know and see how much confidence I have in you based on what you know. All right, so where is my video? All right, question time. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right, so 1, 2, 3. Anthony, are you there?
I'm here.
All right, so okay. Let me show my video. All right, Anthony.
Yes, sir.
I have I've completed the configuration of a domain. The client, the primary domain controller, the secondary domain controller, the primary DNS server, the secondary DNS server, like we have done. Everything is working fine. Tomorrow I'm coming back to implement the secondary DHCP server and complete my DHCP configuration. But the domain, my client does not have a DNS, has not configured the DNS server for its domain. In other words, the DNS server is only for, no, it configured the DNS server for its domain. It's only able to resolve domain names. In other words, computer names within the domain. What about when I type in domain names outside the domain? How would this DNS server is not able to resolve it because they are not in the A? I'm already answering the question. They are not in the A record list. So how are they able to resolve DNS names to IP addresses that are not listed in their A records?
If a secondary DNS is configured,
Okay.
maybe Google, the global DNS is configured on the secondary DNS, with that you'll be able to resolve it. If there's a secondary DNS,
no, there is no if, because you are the consultant. I told you what you have done.
Yes, I'll ensure that there's
yeah.
With the secondary DNS, it can resolve.
So what would you do exactly?
You put the secondary DNS on the client configuration. Maybe 8.8.8 or 4.2.2.2, any of those ones. You'll be able to resolve.
Come again with what you are going to do.
Either you put 8.8.8.8
where,
or 4. On the client, where we configure IP parameters.
On which client? There are about 50 clients on the system. On the
client in question now, the client in question that you are trying to access a domain name.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So they have to be either 8.8.8.8 or 4.2.2.2.
Okay.
Any of those two, you can resolve outside what is not on the e-record of the domain controller.
Okay. Can resolve outside what is not on the e-record. Correct. Correct. All right. So that question wasn't actually for you because it looks like you already knew about those open source DNS servers. All right. So, Eniola. Eniola. All right. Moyo. Bye. Moyo. Bye. You guys are just there, but you're not answering. Are you? You need to unmute yourself before you talk so I can hear you. Who else is there? Tokumbo, Ajim. Tokumbo, Ajim. Olasukomi. But it's talking. Who is there? Olasukomi, okay. Olasukomi, are you able to take questions? Looks like you're in traffic.
I'm actually on class. I was trying to follow the class.
So you are not able to take questions. All right, who else is there? Idolo. Idolo.
Hello, I can hear you.
All right,
can you hear
me? There? Yeah, I can hear, but who is talking?
Moyo. This is Idolo talking.
All right, Idolo. Have you been following?
Yes. Yes, I've been following. Not foolish though. I've been distracted by some activities here, but I think just throw your questions at me.
Okay, so the forward lookup zone will help us resolve domain name to IP addresses. If we want to resolve IP addresses to domain name, what do we activate?
If the forward resolve domain to IP, that means the other one will be the reverse and lookup.
All right, so simple logic. That's correct.
Okay.
Then,
all right, thank you, sir.
Yeah. So, all right, Uyo. So, what are you? What area do you envisage you have difficulty in trying to set up a secondary domain control? Because we set up one and we've tested and it's working. Uyo. No, that's not for you.
Okay, the areas that
you envisage, you suspect that this area is not so clear. I may have difficulty implementing. So what area?
Okay, I'll call that I'll say DNS.
Okay.
Yeah, but the thing is, when I go back to watch a video and I don't understand, I tend to understand it better after the class.
Okay.
So I know after the class, when I watch the video again, I'll have a better understanding.
Okay. All right. So you don't have questions right now. Maybe after you watch the video.
Yes, most likely. Yes, sir.
All right. So what are we going to spend the next? Because I can't finish DACP now, and I can't start it now and finish it. And we'll do DACP tomorrow. So what are we doing in the next? What are you going to spend the next 26 minutes doing?
Maybe we should ask questions.
Yes, ask questions. That's what I've been asking. I've been asking you to ask questions because you are not asking. That's what I'm asking you. To throw your questions, to use the Idol's language.
Okay. My question is, if you have existing DNS server that you already have configuration on it, but now you just created a backup, will the existing information automatically replicate on the backup?
Correct. Yes. Yes, it will. Whatever is currently on the primary DNS server, whether they were created 3 years ago, 7 years ago, as long as it's still there right now, everything will be replicated to the new backup server. More questions? More questions?
Okay, sir. Yes, I have a question.
All right, Favor first. Favor Okonta.
Thank you, sir. I would want to ask, is it possible for you to have more than one domains in one forest?
Yeah, sure. That's what a forest is. A forest manages multiple domains. So okay. As a matter of fact, it is not a forest until there are multiple domains. There's just in our own case, we happen to have only one.
Have one domain.
Yeah. So you can manage, for big organizations, you would have a single forest, and then you have so many domains. So you could take the forest, ttcmobile.com, and then you have a training account. What else are we doing here? Practicals. All these will be domains under the forest.
You can either manage organizational units.
Yes. Organizational unit will be under the
domains.
Yeah, under the domains.
Okay.
You can manage everything centrally from the domain controller, managing the forest. But for our training purpose, we're just focusing on the domain for now.
All right.
But what you do at the forest level is not different. It's just that you're also now controlling
everything.
Domains.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's why when you right-click some functions that are applicable to forest, it asks you, you want to implement this at the forest level to affect all the domains, or you want to implement it at the domain level to affect only this domain. When it affects the entire domains under the forest, it's called global.
Okay.
Global, as distinct from universal, where to affect everything.
The whole forest.
Yeah, the whole forest and even outside the forest, public, internet specifically. So it could be domain specific, forest specific, global, or universal. It is everywhere.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Yes.
I have a question, sir.
Yes, please.
My question is, if assuming one is just employed in an organization, I discovered that in that organization they have a domain controller that is on an old server, maybe Windows 2008.
Okay.
And now you want to move to 2016. Can you replicate what you have on 2008 on 2016? Is it possible? Maybe you make this is the primary now. Can you now see 2016 as your secondary and replicate all the information on the 2008 to 2016 so that you can eliminate, because you don't want to do away with 2008.
Okay.
How do you handle such?
Yes, that's migration. So you can always migrate from older technology to newer technology. That's what is expected. That's the normal thing. It's only when you are trying to migrate from newer to older, that's where you have difficulty. And then that method that came to your mind is actually, I didn't think of that, but it's a good way to migrate. There are many migration techniques. But in cloud, which is where we are going, is easy. There are tools that you can tools outside Windows, especially many of the tools are already provided by the cloud provider, the owner of the infrastructure to which you are migrating. So, but for enterprise, that method of you first of all create a secondary server and then back up all your services from the legacy server to the new one, and then you now click a button to make this one the primary server. It's a good one. Have you already implemented that?
No, I have not. I have just thinking about it.
Yeah, it's a good way to think because it's actually a good way to migrate. Well, there might be better ways and more enterprise-friendly ways because this is only related to enterprise. For cloud, there are tools. You don't even bother about it.
Okay, sir.
But for enterprise, that seems to be a good way. Of course, that's not the only way. So it's a good way. Yes, you will not have problem at all. That's why the newer versions are released so that you can migrate from older ones to new ones.
So can one also migrate from one operating system to another operating system?
Yes. That's what you just said.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yes, that's what you just said. For example, migrating from Windows Server 2012, or not specifically, Windows Server 2020. I mean 2000. So maybe 2016. Well, 2012, 2016, 2019, they are very similar. So you may not want to migrate as long as you're already using one of them. But you were migrating from 2020, yes. That's what we just explained. So one way to do that, I haven't read that, I haven't seen, but the explanation makes sense that you can just do what we did now. But instead of using the same operating system, use the higher version that you're trying to migrate to on one. And then, so what about the place you will click to say, make this place my, now, normally this is my secondary server, for example. In fact, one way is make the same server, your domain controller, your DNS server, your DHCP server, and then go and click that button, which I'll show you tomorrow, to say, yes, from this minute on, this server is now my primary domain controller. And then you shut down your secondary domain controller. That's it. I mean, you make your secondary domain controller, which already runs those services, just click the button to say, you are now my master. And then once this is the master, you cannot take the other one off because it's no longer relevant. And then you cannot seize the opportunity of that one being off to create a secondary one. Yeah.
Okay. Hello, sir.
And then these things are not one-day work. Oh. They are not one-day work because what Anthony said was you just you made the system in place. This system could have taken 3 years, 4 years, 7 years, 15 years to build. So it's not like you just do it and 3 hours you are done. No. The migration thing is a process. So you follow the process to make sure that you don't lose. So it's a project that could last for. As a matter of fact, what they do practically is you don't just migrate once. You don't migrate once. There are facilities in place to ensure that even while the migration is going on gradually over weeks or months or even years, depending on, because if you're a bank, for example, you have millions of customers. You don't just want to take them off one system that has been reliable over the years just because you are upgrading to higher technology, and then no. You want to do it gradually over time. Maybe first batch of subscribers from one to this, and then it's what they call there's a name for. So it's a gradual process anyway. It could take years depending on how robust and how big the database of the old organization. Because there are other things like databases that are attached to the operating system. So migrating the operating system will also mean that all these other attachments, all the different databases, all the different web servers, all the different services, many of them that are attached are also successfully migrated to accompany that operating system to the new server. Yes. Somebody was saying hello, sir. I can take your question.
Yes, sir. When we have a backup domain controller, and then while we're working, I was saying that whatever we do on our primary domain controller will actually take effect on the secondary controller. Then what if something unexpectedly happens to the primary domain controller?
Okay.
What will now happen to the secondary controller, because we've not yet assigned it as a primary controller?
Then if you go there now, because you still have the system, you go there now, you click a button to say, to promote it to become the primary domain controller.
All right.
Did that answer your question? You say something happens suddenly.
Suddenly, and then
yes,
the system goes off.
Yes.
So
that's why you have
automatically, that means you'll be able to control everything from the secondary domain controller.
Yes, that's why that's why it's a secondary domain control.
Okay.
So quickly go to if you are doing it manually, by the time you get to Linux and cloud especially, these things are automated. Or you also can automate even at the Windows level by writing scripts and saying anytime anything happens, but that's too advanced for this class. Anytime anything happens to this domain, this machine, you try within 3 seconds, you don't get reply, assume that it's called health check. Assume that system is done. And once you don't get reply after 4 attempts, then route my traffic to this other system. So that could be automated. But at this level, since we are not, and we'll talk about automation, we'll talk about scripting. How do you write scripts that will automate? In Windows, you can write your scripts within the PowerShell. But outside Windows, there are more generally accepted scripting languages that you can apply even within Windows and every other places where automation is necessary. Example of that kind of scripting language would be Python. So back to your question. There's a button you can click manually, or you can write a script to automate it. Script just means the things you have done manually by entering commands. You can automate them. You can write the command in advance, save it as a file, and direct the system to go pick that file and execute it at a certain time. So as a DevOps engineer that you're going to, some of you will become in future, if as a result of COVID, people are no longer able to go to work and they are now relying on your company's application to be able to work from home. And then you used to have like 2,000 customers. All of a sudden it became so popular, you now have 2 million customers. You know that the servers that you assigned for 2,000 customers are no longer enough to meet 2 million customers.
Yes.
But because you already wrote a script, there's already a script that can auto-scale. And auto-scaling means that the system will just automatically generate servers and put the necessary operating systems, like what Antonio was trying to.
I have an idea on that, and load balancing.
Yeah, load balancing is part of that. Put the load balancing, put all the necessary platform that you need to run all your applications and databases, and actually put in one word, you don't do anything to expand your network from a network of 2,000 people to 2 million. You don't do anything because your scripting file is executed to take care of everything. Then that's where we are going. That's where we are going. So those things are part of IT. So at some level up to cloud, you will know how to do these things. But after cloud, I mean, following the curriculum that I'm using, by the time you do Windows, Linux, and cloud, you'll be able to do all of these things. But after that, by the time you do DevOps, you'll now be able to automate everything you have learned, so that without you necessarily being there, everything will still run as if you are there. So the era of server is down, please, who is there? No. That's past. This modern times, there's a script that says, once your server is down, create another server. The resources are there in cloud. The resources are there in cloud. All right. Right. Did I answer your question, or did I spread too wide?
You did, sir. You answered the question.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm. More questions?
Sir.
Mm-hmm.
While we were creating our domain controller, we configured servers, that's the DNS, the DHCP, and ADDS.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I feel like, I don't know, but I feel like, why are we doing it twice? Why do we have to go individually again and start do another reconfiguration?
Oh, good question. The first time we installed DNS and DHCP, they were only installed, not configured. It was during the second time that we now configured them.
Okay.
So that answers your question.
And then our data centers, do they have backups?
Oh, very much. That's why they are data centers.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So the way the architecture of data centers is, a data center is not one place, like I mentioned before. It's not like one hall, and then once fire guts that hall, you lose all your data. No. The way data centers work is that a single data center is made up of many sub data centers. Those sub data centers are called AZs, availability zones. So they work together, at least 3 availability zones work together to form one data center. So even though I say my data center is in Nigeria, I'm actually saying that I have at least three available AZs in Nigeria, one in Kano, one in Port Harcourt, one in Lagos.
Okay.
So the way cloud works is such that as long as I'm their client, whatever, fundamentally, I don't even have to subscribe for extra services. Whatever I am putting there in Lagos, whether I know it or not, it's already being replicated to at least one other data center. So if Lagos goes down for any reason, just like I was trying to explain to Madu or Anthony, the other one. So in other words, by the time you get there, you now see that everything we're trying to do here by replicating ADS, DNS is what actually happens in cloud. But it's just that instead of using one system for replication, they are using an entire availability zone, which I said is the side of Daystar Church yesterday. Very big.
Okay.
Very big. One data center can take care of the data requirement of almost the whole world. And they keep expanding. They keep expanding with a lot of miniaturization. What you could do with a server of this size 3 years ago that could do 5 million jobs simultaneously is now only this size this year. So there's always miniaturization, which means that only a cabinet, just one cabinet of servers will be able to do the work of, you need an enterprise network to do that same work. You'll be looking at a lot of resources, a lot of landscape, a lot of servers, a lot of power, but everything is not doable from just one piece of server. Yes, there's a lot. In fact, another name for cloud is replication.
Okay.
Another name for cloud is replication. That's why we have high availability in cloud. And that's the number one advantage. That's the number one reason you want to go to cloud.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Questions? We'll see if we've got 7 minutes. All right, so if there are no more questions, that's about it for today.
Sir, just one more from me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the challenges that we face in the course of loading our domain computer or assigning a client or other domain to it. Now, are these regular challenges are they regular, or is it possible that something just out of the blues, uncommon, could just pop up? Like we went through a lot trying to get our DNS in place, and that's why I said I'll have to go back to the class, to the video, and watch all over. I would understand it better. But are this I didn't expect DNS to have this much issues. It seemed like, oh, DNS, no problem, but we seem to be having a lot. So are these regular issues we should foresee, or is this how they come up in IT? Or this on this?
Yeah, I get your question. Give me. I was hoping would close in 2 minutes, but since this answer will require another 5 minutes, please give me like 2 minutes. I'll be back in less than 2 minutes.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, 1 second. Hello? All right, I'm back. Sorry about that.
Yes, sir, we're here.
Okay. So your question. The answer to your question is after all of this exercise, after all of this practice, the real world, what I call the real world, we actually call it operations. In operations is not exactly like that because you'd have practiced. So the things that are tough now because you are doing them for the first time, you'll become normal.
Okay.
You'll become normal. You're not really, most of the time, you just enjoy yourself. It's easy because you've practiced them. So anything that comes up, you know how to deal with it. So it's not really so challenging. You just enjoy your work. You have fun because you already know it by this practice. However, once in a while, issues will come up that you need to remember these things you are going through to tackle. So run 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And of course, you are not the only person, unless it's a small organization. You are not the only person working. You are part of a team. And then you are just having fun. In fact, it becomes even boring because you are just doing the same thing. Because when you do get a job, you are not going to cover everything. One person cannot do everything we are teaching you now. But we don't know where the opportunity will come from. So we're just teaching you everything. You are likely to specialize. In fact, in another class, somebody was telling me, even within Windows, somebody was not doing the whole of Windows. He was just specializing in Active Directories only. And became so boring that it's only now that he's going to. Here in the US, every Nigerian that is doing IT is cybersecurity. I don't know what the craze is. Everybody you meet here is cybersecurity. But I'm not for cybersecurity. anyway. But the point I'm making is that's part of Windows that is doing Active Directory. He does it all the time that it becomes so boring that he now wants to do something else. Okay. So when you do get a job, you are not going to do all of these things.
Okay.
You will just tell you this is your job role, this specific. Although when they are employing you, they will tell you need to know heaven and earth. But after you start, you just say that it's the same thing. It's the same thing. You are just making money. IT is you just enjoy yourself. You don't even feel you are working. But having said that, once in a while, challenges will come. And because you are not working alone, you are working as part of the team. It is likely that because you are working only on your particular area, you are not expected to know everything. Somebody who knows something in another area will come and join you so that you can resolve it. In fact, most of the time, they will not even bother you. So if they hire you as a network administrator, for example, Windows Server administrator, if there's an issue with Linux, nobody will come and bother you. If they are trying to set up a platform for an application and there's issue, nobody will come and bother you. They will bring you in as a stakeholder on the project to what's that word called? Subject matter experts on that area. Another person will be subject matter expert on a different area so that everything will work together on the project. So no, it is good for you to know these things and be bold, but you may never use them again. But if you do need to use them, you will remember that they are handy. And when you get a job and they tell you what your job role is, first month, second month, third month, you are doing the same thing. By the time there are people who did CCNA and the exam questions and interviews were around CCNA, but 2 years down the line, they don't even remember anything about CCNA. So that knowledge was just good enough to tell the examiner, the interview people that you are broad, you have a broad mind, you have solid foundation in IT. Whatever they want to teach you, you can understand based on this foundation, you can adapt, and But once you get through that stage, it could be very interesting. And it could also be boring because you just find yourself doing the same thing. One man is not expected to. That's why I'm a trainer, different from, if you go and call somebody on the field who is working in a particular area, he doesn't know as much as I know. He will know one thing deeply, like you'll be practicing. I see you doing more of network administration. I see a picture of you. I'm Professor Ina. I see you doing more of network administration. So if they bring you to me in another 2 years, you should be teaching me some things in network administration and saying, that's supposed to, this is a new way to do it, especially with Windows 2022 should be out then. But in other areas broadly speaking now, in other areas, I'll beat you because I've done a bit of this, a bit of this, a bit of this, a bit of this. Okay. So at the foundational level is good. You would impress them at interviews. They bring this, you talk about it. They bring this, you know about it. They talk about IP. Yes, I have an idea. Like somebody talked about, I have an idea. I know what you're talking about, load balance. Yeah, even though it may not be entirely correct, but at least it tells me that, okay, you know about load balance, oh, that's fine. You know about this, oh, that's fine. Okay. That means you have a good foundation to learn whatever we are doing here. Because in any case, no matter how good you are, you still have to learn during 1 or 2 weeks of orientation how we do our things here, the applications we use here to achieve our own business goals. We still have to learn all of that. We have to come with a foundation that is ready to assimilate, to accept what we have here. So real world is mostly not as challenging. 80 to 90% of the time, you are just relaxed, the same thing, you are teaching people. But once in a while,
thank you, sir.
But once in a while, challenges will come. And when they do come, if it's in your area, you are expected to resolve it.
Yes.
But if it's not in your area, people will come up, consultants will come up, other workers will come up.
Okay.
And you have a team. Look at what I'm facing now. It's always teamwork. It's always teamwork. Always teamwork. You are not left alone by yourself.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome. So the hurdle is know enough to get in. Once you get in, the rest is. And once you get in, your promotion is very fast. The promotion is very fast. You keep learning. Keep learning because there's always something new to learn. So once you can manage, even if it's free of charge, that you are serving them, you manage to get into what company can I mention? If I say Apple, that's too big. Apple is the number 1 company in the world today.
Amazon.
Amazon is big too as a company. It's like the number 2 or it's among the first. You know, the first 10 companies in the world today are all IT companies.
Yes.
Apple, Amazon, Facebook, all of them, they are. And that's why we're saying there are opportunities come. These people are looking for people all the time. Now,
I say Oracle.
Yeah, Oracle. Yeah, Oracle. Oracle is not part of the first 10, but at least it's Oracle is high up there as well. They are the people. They are the companies making wave right now, and will continue to make wave for a long time. But the point I'm making is, okay, I know somebody who is an SAP consultant to a company, and then he's outsourced to a bigger company like Apple. Just working for Apple alone, being on the CV, you can imagine how much weight that carries. Every other company you apply to want to hire you. You work for Apple as an SAP consultant, and what exactly do they do, Uyo? Not more than just sitting and supporting. Because it's on 80K per. It's time consuming, yes, but it's not tasking. It's not so tasking. They are simple things. They are very basic things. Everything you already know now is enough to give you that position. If it wasn't an SAP, if it was a Windows-based position. And for that position, of course, that's in the US. Sorry, you are not in the US, but I'm just giving you, I can only give you US example. For that position, as a support person, if he sneezes, he's paid. If his laptop is virtually everything. If you take first class, if you go on a company assignment on first class plane seat, they will reimburse you. If you stay in hotel, just show receipt. So this person is not spending his salary at all. Everything is taken care of by the company. What did he need to enter? Young and ready to learn, and has shown that, okay, this is what I've been able, not really like too good, but I'm ready. I'm young. I'm still with this company for a while. This is what I've done by myself. I know this, I know this, I know this. Oh, you know, okay, we're going to train you for, it was 3 weeks or so, or 4 weeks. Because you already know this. By the time I train you on this, you would understand. Because what we're using is not too different from what you know. It's just that instead of this, we do this. And then they train you for 3 weeks. And then welcome to the world of enjoyment. You can imagine what you can do with $80,000 per annum.
That's a lot. That's a
Lots.
whole lot.
I think you just give me 40,000 since it's too much for you. I'll just be praying for you. And the person is just as young as you.
Wow.
It's actually a girl, it's a lady.
Wow.
And there are many. I'm just citing that because she's very close to me. All right, so that is it. Just learn. You get, I believe you get it. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 of us remaining. Any other question?
No, sir.
Who else is there? Afis.
I'm still around.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Your work has not taken you off.
Right. Workers. Right now, not quite long. They escalated another outage. So just have to.
All right, so that's about it. I'll let you go so that they don't miss it so much.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so tomorrow?
All right, sir. Thanks so much, sir.
Thanks
All
so
right.
much.
Thank you so much, sir. God bless you. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much.
You're
God
welcome.
Thank you
bless
very
you.
much, sir.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Goodbye.